or two will mean more to you if you can make the winning touchdown. You'll never have to buy them pearls. You gotta be a football hero to get along with the beautiful girls, girls, girls. To get along with the beautiful girls.
Hey everybody, welcome to Keeping It Real Sports, and I'm your host, Chris Massey. This is the first episode of a new sports show here on the American Hearts Radio Network. Some of you know me from my other show, the Chris Massey Music Show, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. And like always, I'm joined by my engineer, Mr. Al Burrows. Al, how are you this evening?
I'm great, man.
Oh.
Yep.
Now, Al, we've talked about a lot of things, but we've never talked about this. Are you a big sports fan?
I just like a good game.
You just like a good game.
I was happy last night.
Well, I think that it's obvious that Mike and Bruce think I'm a big sports fan because they gave me this show. So you guys might regret this before the night's over. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. Okay. All right. Well, the big news today is that last night, the Clemson Tigers defeated the Alabama Crimson Tide in the national championship game. It was a hell of a game. Clemson pulled it off 35-31 to win their first national championship since 1981. Of course, national championships and going to the national championship is nothing new for Alabama. They currently have 11 national championships, which is the most in college football, followed by Notre Dame with 8. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
In fact, here's a little tidbit that you might find interesting. They started doing the AP polls back in 1936. Okay, so let's see, that's 64 and 16, that's 80 years, right?
Wow.
In 80 years, now the thing about this, there's 130 Division I college football teams that have a shot at the national championship every year. Some of them don't have much of a chance, but they all could get there, if everything went right with an undefeated season. In 80 years, only 31 teams have won the national championship.
What?
31 teams. Now, when you consider that Alabama has 11, Notre Dame has 8, all right, that's 19 right there, 2 teams.
Wow.
Miami has 5. USC has 5.
Yeah.
Oklahoma has 5. So now you got 19 and 15. That's 34. Okay?
Crazy.
34 between 5 teams.
Wow.
Okay? So anyway, if you're out there thinking next year that your team's going to win the national championship, chances are you're not. Unless you're one of the teams that I just mentioned. Now, this morning I got up and went to the coffee shop like I do, and there's a guy that works in there as an Alabama fan, and I thought, that he wouldn't be his normal arrogant asshole roll tide self like he always is. And I went in there and I said, so what do you think about the game? And he goes, well, I'll tell you, when you go to as many national championships as we do, you're bound to lose one sometime. So even in defeat, they're keeping their head held high. I know the Clemson fans have got to be feeling good. I know the University of Georgia last won a national championship in 1980, a year before Clemson did, and it's got to be super sweet for those people that bleed orange and purple today. Now, on the local front, the Georgia Bulldogs finished their season 8-5 with a Liberty Bowl victory over TCU. Kirby Smart in his rookie season went 8-5, and it could have been a lot better, and people were expecting it to be better. But anyway, he did go 8-5, and he got some great news. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and Lorenzo Carter, future NFL players, have all said they are coming back for their senior season. So they'll all 3 be back, and and Jacob Eason, the #1 recruited quarterback in the country that played this year as a freshman, will be back. But I've got to tell you, I don't feel warm and fuzzy about Jacob Eason like a lot of people do. I saw Eric Zier play as a freshman, and I saw Matthew Stafford play as a freshman. Zier's freshman year, they went 9-3. Stafford's freshman year, they went 9-4. And then their sophomore years, they really took off. The team that Zier was on went 10-2, finished number 10 in the country, defeated Ohio State in the Capital Bowl that year in 1992. And Matthew Stafford's team went 11-2 and got invited to a BCS Bowl where they demolished Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl and finished in the AP poll #2. That's right. They were the #2 team in the country that year. only behind the LSU Tigers. Now, I have not seen a lot of improvement in Jacob since the North Carolina game and the TCU game. He still has trouble getting this team in and out of the huddle. And they have to call timeouts sometimes that they shouldn't be calling. And his accuracy is just not there. He still throws the short pass too hard sometimes. He throws the deep ball too long. And when he's throwing over the middle, he tends to throw it too high. Now, I'm not saying that Jacob can't be a great quarterback. He's certainly got all the tools. But he has a lot of work to do between now and next August when they get ready for summer practice. Now, so you could say that I'm not real impressed with Jason, and I'm not. But let me tell you who's also not impressed with him, and that's this kid named from Warner Robins, a four-star quarterback who was recruited by Alabama. In fact, he committed to the Crimson Tide and then said he was going to come to Georgia. And this kid is under the belief that he's going to beat out Jacob Eason. Now, he's a different style quarterback. He's real mobile and a good runner. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I believe he will be on campus for spring practice in March. So it's going to be an interesting season for the Bulldogs. Their schedule gets a little softer next year. We get rid of that road game with Ole Miss, and we'll be playing Mississippi State at home. But next year, the Georgia Bulldogs 2017 opener is in South Bend, Indiana, against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This will be the first time the two teams have met since the 1980 Sugar Bowl when Georgia won the national championship. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, they finished their season 9-4 with a win over Kentucky in the Tax Slayer Bowl. Now, what's interesting about Georgia Tech is this, is every now and then Paul Johnson lays an egg like he did last year with 2 years ago with a 3-9 season, and all the Georgia Tech faithful start saying it's time to get rid of Paul Johnson. But before they can fire him, he somehow manages to have a good season, going 9-4 last year, so that kind of shut up the let's get rid of Paul Johnson people down there on the flats. Now, one of the big things that the Jackets are going to have to do in the offseason is they are going to have to replace sensational senior quarterback Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas was a phenomenal player. In my opinion, he ran the Paul Johnson offense better than any quarterback he has had at Georgia Tech. He is gone. I apologize. I do not know who is next on the depth chart, but that is what Georgia Tech will be looking to do. Paul Johnson, when he's got that offense rolling, it's a fun thing to watch. My daughter went to Georgia Tech, and I saw them play up close and personal a lot over the last 4 years. And they'll be getting ready with that option offense when the 2017 season starts next September. Okay, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the NFL Wild Card Playoff weekend. Stick around.
American Hearts Radio, bringing the hearts of the world together.
All right, we're back. Well, the NFL had their wild card playoffs this past weekend, and amazingly enough, all four of the wild card teams lost, which means that all of the home teams won, and we go into the second round of the playoffs with the 8 division winners. That's right. There are no more wild card teams in the playoff hunt. Now, one of the big stories was the New York Giants going up against the Green Bay Packers. This was supposed to be the game of the week. Instead, Green Bay demolished the New York Giants 38-13. Now, do you know, Al, what is interesting about this game?
Gotta hear this.
Okay. Odell Beckham, star wide receiver for the New York Giants, and several other wide receivers, when the season ended a week ago on Sunday, they were given the day off on a Monday. And these guys decided to hop on a plane and fly down to Miami, Florida, and get on a boat with a bunch of good-looking women, get pictures made of themselves, and then show up at the hottest nightclub in Miami at the Fontainebleau Hotel, then fly back to New York and get ready for practice on Tuesday. Now, he did not break any rules, no team rules, no league rules. So what's the harm? Well, there's not any, except this. In the game Sunday, Odell dropped the touchdown pass. So did one of the other wide receivers. And they were dropping balls all over the field. And when you perform like that, due to what happened, people are going to say, you know what? If you wouldn't have had your butt in Miami on your off day, on a boat and in a nightclub like that, you might have played a better game. And you know the New York press, oh man, they're all over it. They're letting them have it. Now, not only that, but they did something that was really juvenile. You know, this picture that they got made on the boat, they all had their shirts off and everything. So in pregame, when they were warming up at Green Bay, and by the way, it was about 7 degrees, these jerks come out on the field with their shirts off. And they're out there running around on the field with their shirts off so everybody can say, hey, look at me, I was the guy on the boat. You know, and the New York press was saying, yeah, you're the guy that was dropping the passes. If these guys would have caught the ball, the game would have been a lot closer. You cannot pin this one on Eli Manning. He was razor sharp. Guys were just not catching the ball. But Green Bay, man, they are super hot. They have won 7 straight. Aaron Rodgers is on fire. I mean, he is just lighting it up everywhere. So, on the AFC side, we have the Houston Texans that are going to play the New England Patriots in New England. And God bless the Houston Texans, but let me just tell all you Texan fans out there, you're going to get the holy crap beat out of you Sunday. The spread is 16 points, and I would take New England and give the points. They are no match for the Patriots, especially up there in that cold weather in Foxborough. So I look for New England to take that game. One of the most interesting game on the AFC side will be the Pittsburgh Steelers, who will be traveling to Kansas City to play the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Steelers are getting a few points in this game. I would take the Steelers in this one. Ben Roethlisberger seems to turn up big in games like this. And, Kansas City with Alex Smith, I just don't see it happening. Now, on the NFC side, you've got the Green Bay Packers that are going to the Dallas Cowboys. That will be the Sunday 4 o'clock game. And they are saying that the ratings for this game may be as big as the Super Bowl.
I believe it.
I mean, this is going to be a huge game. And Green Bay goes in there. And the winner of that game will play the winner of the Atlanta-Seattle game. Now, let me tell you, the Falcons are getting no respect on any of the shows. They are never mentioned. You know, Seattle is getting a lot of praise. But I did a little research on the Seahawks, and here's what I can tell you. There are 2 different teams, the home team and the road team. And the road team for Seattle is not good. They were 3-4-1 this year on the road. In 4 of those games, they scored less than 10 points. And they are only averaging 16 points a game on the road. Now, let me tell you what happens when you come to the Georgia Dome to play the Falcons and you only score 16 points. You get the shit beat out of you because the Falcons are averaging 32 points a game. Now, I'll just tell you right now, unless these guys just lay an egg, something awful, and I got to be honest with you, Matt Ryan has not played his best football in the playoffs. He has a 1-4 postseason record. I look for the Falcons to win this game by a couple of touchdowns, and they'll be heading to the NFC Championship game. Now, Al, if you had a choice, who would you want to play, Green Bay or Dallas? Now, Green Bay, we get to play them in Atlanta, and we would have to go to Dallas.
I'd probably want to play Dallas.
Yes.
But I would study the New York games.
Yes,
Dallas
the Giants beat them twice.
I would study those to no end.
Right.
So whatever it was they were doing,
yeah,
they were doing it right.
Now, one of the big things that Dallas has got working against them is rookie Dak Prescott at quarterback. In the whole history of the Super Bowl, 51 games I think it's been, a rookie quarterback has never been to the Super Bowl.
Really?
Never been to the Super Bowl, and nevertheless, never won one. So the playoffs are a whole different deal. And it'll be interesting to see how this kid reacts. Now, so far, man, he's handled everything that's come his way. Rookie running back Ezekiel Elliott, wide receiver Dez Bryant. I mean, these guys are hot, and they're going to come ready to play. It should be a hell of a game, and the Falcons-Seattle game will get no coverage. None. It won't. I mean, it will barely be mentioned, especially if the Falcons win. You know. Now, the other thing that's coming up here is the MVP voting of the NFL. Okay. Now, Matt Ryan has had a good season as a quarterback can have. Leads in all the categories. He was named first-team All-Pro quarterback, which is usually a good sign you're going to win the MVP. Aaron Rodgers has come on great, but let's face it, you know, at one time the Packers were 4-6. He really wasn't playing that great of football. Tom Brady missed 4 games, but it's unbelievable that Tom Brady, a 4-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, threw 28 touchdowns this year and only 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Only 2. And, and he's got his team, the number 1 seed, so it's going to be rough. I mean, it's really going to boil down to the Brady fans and the writers that say, hey, it's time to give some new blood in there, and Matt Ryan certainly deserves it. Matt Ryan would be the first Atlanta Falcon to ever win the MVP. Steve Bartkowski was nominated or close to winning back in 1980 when the Atlanta Falcons went 12-4. So I don't know who's going to win. And I'm glad I'm not voting. But of course I'm a homer and I want Matt Ryan to win. But man, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, and Brady. Now I'm going to eliminate Aaron Rodgers because it's for the whole season, and he was stinking it up at that first part of the year. But Brady, Brady's been been right in there. Ryan has had great games in every game except the Philadelphia game where we got beat 21-15. Just for you guys out there that like the numbers, the Atlanta Falcons are 10-1 when they score 30 points or more, and they're 1-4 when they do not. Okay. One of the games that we did not score 30 points in was a game against Seattle, in Seattle, that we lost. It had a very controversial pass interference call by cornerback Richard Sherman on wide receiver Julio Jones. That was not called. That was not called. So the Falcons are going to be looking for a little payback. Now, let me tell you, being a longtime Falcon fan, nothing would be sweeter than to go to Dallas and beat them and keep them from going to the Super Bowl. And the reason is because if you remember in 1980, the Atlanta Falcons were the number 1 seed in the NFC, and the Dallas Cowboys came to play Atlanta. They were a wild card team in the first round in Atlanta, and Atlanta had a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter, and by God, somehow we lost it. We lost that game. I can still see Drew Pearson catching that pass from Danny White in the end zone. I had been drinking heavily. I immediately went to the bathroom and threw up. And the Falcons didn't recover from that game for a long time. The city was shell-shocked. And you Philadelphia Eagle fans, let me tell you, we'd have whooped your butt and we'd have went to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what would have happened that year. Okay, when we're coming back, we're going to break down this Atlanta-Seattle game and talk about some other things here on Keeping It Real Sports. Stick around.
Be a part of our family, bringing the hearts of America together. Please contact us. We thank you for your support. Become a part of our family of supporters today. Call 904-229-8150. That's 904-229-8150. Call today at 904-229-8150. Please visit us at www.americanheartsradio.com.
All right, we're back. So Saturday at 4:35, the Falcons and Seahawks will be kicking it off. Only 13 times in the 51-year history of the Atlanta Falcons have they been to the playoffs. 13 times. 13 times we have went. We have reached the NFC Championship game 3 times.
Okay.
Made it to the Super Bowl once, and of course we were defeated by the Denver Broncos. Now, what I want to talk about now is Matt Ryan's performance in the playoffs. His rookie year, we were putting it on the Arizona Cardinals, who, by that way, went to the Super Bowl that year and lost to Pittsburgh. And we were driving down the field, and he had a crucial fumble from the center on the snap, something that he had not done all year. Fumbled, Cardinals recovered the ball, and it was a big momentum swift in that game. The Falcons went on to lose. In the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers just a few years ago, Falcons were the number 1 seed. They were 13-3. And we were driving. We were on the San Francisco, I believe, 22-yard line, looking like we were going to score. Matt Ryan was in the shotgun, and for some reason he was looking to his left. The center snapped the ball. He didn't see it. 49ers recovered it and went on to win that game and go to the Super Bowl. In a playoff game against Green Bay, the game was relatively tight right before halftime. He threw a down-and-out pattern, and a cornerback for Green Bay intercepted it and returned it 65 yards for a touchdown that really swung the momentum Green Bay's way, and they beat the holy crap out of us that game. Now, the funny thing about Aaron Rodgers is this, people always say, you don't want to go to Lambeau Field and play. It's cold and this and that and the other. But actually, Aaron Rodgers is more dangerous in a dome because the game is faster. And there is no quarterback I can think of in the NFL that is so accurate on the run. This guy can roll out on the run and just flip it and it's so hard to defend because he's a decent runner. You know, yeah. I mean, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And the Packers are hot, and, you know, and I've seen this more times than not, teams getting hot in the playoffs and going all the way. I mean, the Giants were 9-7 one year and got in the playoffs, caught fire and went all the way and won the Super Bowl and beat the New England Patriots. So you never know what's going to happen. The Falcons are 4-point favorites in this game. I would put my money on Atlanta. This Seattle team is just not good on the road. I mean, they got beat by the crummy L.A. Rams in L.A. They only scored 3 points. They got beat by Tampa on the road. They only scored 5 points in that game. So something with Seattle, the offense does not travel. Now, the defense still shows up and plays pretty well. But, you know, the Falcons have had a week off. I think they're going to be rested and they're going to be ready to go. And this may very well be the last football game in the Georgia Dome.
Right.
It could very well be the last game in the Georgia Dome. And you've been to the Dome a lot now?
No. I actually did a show in there one time.
And I've got to tell you, I have never been a big fan of the Georgia Dome.
Right.
I don't like it. I grew up going to Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. I'll take it any day of the week. Cold days, rainy days, whatever, man. It was just a football atmosphere. I mean, you know, my thing has always been this. If I want to watch a game indoors, I can walk into my living room and do that on a big screen TV and eat what I want. Right. You know, and instead of paying that money to go down there. And what really gets me is there's so many October days in Atlanta where it's 65 degrees, sun shining, beautiful day for football, and you're walking in that crummy dome. You know, I can see the dome from my balcony. And when they blow it up, I'm going to be out there watching. I'm going to be out there watching. No love lost here. When the Georgia Dome is gone. It's been the site of some fantastic SEC championship games and some good Peach Bowls. But from an NFL standpoint, it's not really done the job, you know, for me anyway. So hopefully this new stadium is going to be a retractable roof.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
It's crazy.
It looks like something out of a Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And but they're going to be able to open the top. So for the first time in 25 years, in 2017, the Georgia Dome opened in 1992, you will be able to go see an NFL game outside in the state of Georgia. It's going to be a great day, and I hope to be able to be there. And I guess you get the best of both worlds. If it's too cold, they'll close it, you know, and if it's raining, they'll close it. I just think you should leave it open all the time. You know, the elements down here are not that bad, you know, and if you need 72 degrees to watch a football game, well, then you can stay at home and do that. Next month, believe it or not, pitchers and catchers will report for the Atlanta Braves in February. Spring training, you know, once the Super Bowl ends, it's just right around the corner. The Braves played some great ball the last 100 or so games of last year. And their new manager that they got really did a fine job. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. They got some great young players. They've signed some free agents. Now, I don't think that they are going to challenge for the division next year, but they're going to challenge for the wild card. I believe they will. Now, they may not win it and they may not get it, but I'm going to predict that the Atlanta Braves will finish over 500 next year, which means they've got to win more than 81 games. And I believe that will happen. And, of course, they will be moving into their new stadium out in Marietta. And I'm not a big fan of that either.
That's a whole nother thing.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, you know, coming downtown. When I was growing up, if the only time we went downtown was to go to the ball game or to go to the Fox or the varsity, you know, and it was always a big deal to come down here.
Underground, the music scene.
Yeah.
Underground.
Now, if I'd have been going to Marietta to see the Braves play, you know, it just wouldn't have the feel that it would have. But, you know, things change, you know, and you got to change with them, and it's a done deal now. I hear the new stadium is a very nice ballpark, holds less people, and the fans are actually closer to the action, and it's got an overhang that goes around the top of it, so there's more shade for these daytime games that are brutal in July and August here. Okay, so Saturday, 4:35, Falcons and the Seahawks. And we'll be back next month. And when we come back next month, The Super Bowl will be over. We'll know who the champion is. Hopefully our Atlanta Falcons will be in that contest. And I'll let you know next month on Keeping It Real Sports. Good night, everybody.
Fight a ball $1 million can do. A tackle or two will mean more to you if you can make the win.